faces. Worst generation, cooking up a feast while he's turning through the pages. Theories that he's making, from showing and insane and blocked in, analyzing using observation. Yeah, observation. Rambling addiction.
Hello, it's me, StrawHatLucas, and welcome back to Rambling Addiction, the show where I talk and you listen. During my week off, I have been thinking quite a bit about a certain arc in One Piece, and that's why tonight's topic is Skypiea.
Skypiea.
More specifically, just like Vegapunk revealed in recent chapters, we're going to be discussing a set of two ideals here when it comes to Skypiea. Those two ideals being, does Skypiea reflect what will happen in the endgame of One Piece, or does it reflect what happened during the Void Century of One Piece? Now, obviously, guys, this is not going to be a straight-up theory. We are just going to be having a discussion of it. So let's begin with the prospect that what we saw in Skypiea will reflect the endgame of One Piece. Now, I'm not the first person to say this by a long shot. It's been a very commonly held belief in the One Piece community for a very long time. Obviously, the parallels are there. Inaru/NL being Emu, this god figure with a massive weapon controlled by a malicious ruler who has the power to destroy entire islands, i.e. Angel Island and Leloucia. And then going down from NL in forms of hierarchy and placement in this arc, we will go with the Four Priests. And the problem with the Four Priests, in my opinion, is a lot of people think they reflect the Gorosei, but there's only four of them. That said, it could not be a direct parallel, could just be a summary, because we had just met the Gorosei previously in Jaya. So I could see Oda making like a loose parallel to kind of be like, hint, hint, because let's be real, in Alabasta, the arc that came right before Skypiea, he was prepared to end the manga right after that, with Luffy going on to fight the Yonkos. But, as we know, things changed, and here we are. So it could be a loose parallel to the Gorosei themselves. Then there's a lot of debate on who Gonfall would represent. I think in this scenario, actually, I think it would be Jinbei. I think that was a symbol of like the last person to join the crew. I mean, there's 100 more theories on there will be another Straw Hat. I myself believe it. Just hold with me for brevity. So it could be that. I don't want to give a concrete answer because I myself don't have a concrete answer. Well, I have given a lot of thought to this. It was in another school of thought, and plus, it's quite evident that what we're seeing in the endgame of One Piece is shown in Skypiea. Moving away from NL and his priest, we get the party with the wolves. Obviously, this is an iconic scene. Throw it up. This is the first time we see the outline of Nika in the light. It's beautiful. It is iconic. If anyone ever skips Skypiea, or if you're watching One Piece for the first time and you just finished the Skypiea arc, one, why are you here? I'm talking about endgame stuff. And two, if anyone ever tells anyone to skip the Skypiea arc, they are a fool. It is one of the most important arcs. Even in my first watch through, back when I first started watching One Piece, you can just tell the importance of that arc because of how much adventure and sense of that romance of adventure that Oda loves so much went into that arc. I digress. Don't want to ramble in that direction too much. With Skypiea potentially reflecting the endgame of One Piece, we could also look at the Noland and Caldera flashback as maybe us getting more information on the history of an ancient kingdom that has fallen from long ago. The more you look into Skypiea, the more these connections run deep. As I said earlier, I'm not the first person to say this. I just spent quite a bit of your time explaining it, even though any One Piece fan can tell you all this, because it's such common knowledge within the community. So let me put you all on game. Like I said earlier, during my week off, I thought a lot about Skypiea. And the more I thought about it, I felt like while there are so many reflections of what's happening in the endgame of One Piece in Skypiea, what if it's actually telling us the history of the Void Century, which it itself also reflects this endgame of One Piece? It's like a big circle. It's like that whole, the One Piece timeline loops theory. That's exactly what it would be. With this, we can parallel Enel and Inaru once again to Emu, but their actions in the Void Century. Holding a giant weapon that, in my head, the Arc Maxim would reflect Uranus, and now, in the current storyline, the Mother Flame, and by proxy, holding the power to destroy entire islands and kingdoms, just wipe them off the map. Maybe it was that during this War of the Ancient Kingdom, like while it was still ongoing, while the battle was heating up and chaos was breaking loose, that the 5 survivors of a major battle, from what we will learn about the Ancient Kingdoms, were the 5 Gorosei. Or even the 5 survivors of a major battle, like NL predicted, 5 survivors, were members of Joy Boy's crew or Joy Boy himself and members of his crew. Obviously, on this current timeline in Skypiea, Luffy would mirror Joy Boy because, I mean, if I didn't mirror him to Joy Boy, that would just be the biggest mistake. I mean, obviously Luffy is Joy Boy. But actually, if it's members of Joy Boy's crew, could it also be 5 members of Luffy's crew, like, besides Luffy? What if the East Blue 5 and Chopper, since he was ready to end the story in Alabasta, are the 5 survivors, in quotes, because obviously the other Straw Hats wouldn't perish, at the end of this big final war? I'm sorry, rambling again. But yeah, so maybe these 5 survivors are the Gorosei. Maybe they survived, so Inaru took them with him. Emu took them with him.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
As I said with the Skypiea reflecting the endgame of One Piece section of the video, you could make an argument for the 4 priests also being the Gorosei. In this potential Void Century thing, with Shepherd Jew Peter looking so young, could it possibly be that maybe the 4 priests do represent the Gorosei and the 5th Gorosei member was added later? Nami did join up with Inaru, even if it was to deceive him, which could be a reflection of what Lily did to Emu. But if we're talking about Lily, I think Gonfall represents Lily more.
What did he say?
No. Before you click off the video, hear me out. Gonfall was a great ruler who abandoned his people when times got tough, right? Maybe Lily didn't abandon her people, but instead fell into the ranks of Emu. With Gonfall, it's very clear that Inaru has some sort of respect for him. But they keep their distance from each other because, 1, Enel will kill Gonfall if he gets even close to him, like, let's be real. And 2, because Gonfall is trying not to get involved, he wants to retire, he wants to be peaceful. Lily could have been in the same position. Whereas in Gonfall, even though he was fighting and made this last-ditch effort, his kingdom was still destroyed. Maybe Lily continued fighting, but because she went with the side of Emu and what they were trying to do in the moment, her kingdom was not. Later, she would still continue to betray Emu, though, by scattering the poneglyphs, as was revealed to us. I don't want to say definitively that, like, Gonfall is a parallel to Lily, because that's some Alex Jones level crazy. But at the same time, just like I said with Skypiea possibly representing the end of One Piece, it's hard for me personally to place Gonfall with a certain character on who they would mirror or parallel. Like maybe in the endgame one, Shanks? Another loose parallel I have that is not as bad as that take about Gonfall and Lily is Enola and Zunisha. Maybe Joy Boy, like Noland, accidentally killed Zunisha's mother trying to protect someone else, but then took Zunisha in and befriended them, letting them join his crew. It's an animal that waited a long time for something, right? And this is another thing that reflects the endgame of One Piece as well. Nola waited for the bell to be rang. Zunisha waited for the drums of liberation to sound again, right? Once again, clear parallels to what happened in the present story and the endgame timeline. But the more we learn about the Void Century, the more that theory of a cyclical timeline kind of plays out. Oda is a goat at foreshadowing, but he's also a master of thematic parallels. So having an arc that reflects not only the endgame of One Piece, but also a pivotal point in the past of the story and how we understand it would be genius on a whole different level.
To a whole novel level.
Last parallel that I kind of came up with when looking at Skypiea through the lens of if it's telling us the story of the Void Century, and that is, I think I figured out the role of the Buccaneers in the Void Century and why they were wiped out. If you look on Skypiea, we have the White Berets. I believe the White Berets represent not only the Pacifista and their role in this final war and what we will see from them in the Seraphim, but also the Buccaneers of the Ancient Kingdom. Maybe they followed Emu up until that last minute, till they saw that their home as well would be destroyed and turned on him, and joined Joy Boy's forces, leading to them committing an ultimate crime and getting completely wiped out. But like we saw in Skypiea, the White Berets did live, so maybe that is the in-game equivalent of it. Instead of not living in the past, they get to live in this war. And with it being the Pacifista and Seraphim, I would love to see some kind of resolution where they are not used as weapons anymore, but maybe for the benefit of all of society, which would fall in line with the morals we've seen from Dr. Vegapunk. Check out my video on Dr. Vegapunk. I have one last bit of spice melange to give you guys when it comes to Skypiea reflecting the Void Century, and possibly some evidence to a mystery that is current in One Piece at the moment. And that is, while looking at the Skypiea map, which I will throw up on the screen here, I noticed this little giant in the corner, right? Yeah, you guys all see it? Good, I'm taking the map off the screen or making it small and putting it in the corner. So, that little giant has little horns, it's got the big old axe and stuff, and I think that's where the Iron Giant was before it fell down and attacked Marijwa. Throw up the side-by-side editor, Lucas. Thank you. So the map depicts this gigantic being with giant horns. Could be an Oni, I hear you say, and I agree. That is a strong possibility, but hear me out. This map is of the God's Land, right? Shandora when it was on Skypiea. Shandora is actually one of the only confirmed places we know a battle of that ancient war that Vegapunk is talking about now took place. 800 years ago in the story, a massive war went down in that land. Maybe the reason they could hold out against Emu and their forces, if that was who was attacking them, or if it was this newly formed world government that was attacking them, was because they had that Iron Giant.
I'm Superman.
Maybe in a giant, massive battle, the giant was reduced enough that they could conquer Shandora in enough sense that they could be left alone from there on out and live for the next 400 years until being shot up into Skypiea. Next to this giant on the Skypiea map is a flame in a crucible like we recently saw in Vegapunk's laboratory. Now obviously that does take a little bit of imagination to get to, but that is what my first thoughts were when I saw the fire next to the giant. Maybe the giant had just enough power to that when it finally woke up 600 years after that graciously fought battle, it decided to go and finish the mission that Joy Boy had for it. Let's be real, if the giant was anywhere else besides Skypiea or somewhere out of the government's reach, like maybe Shandora was, maybe that's, if you remember when Nolan and his crew got there, they immediately started attacking. There was no like, hey, who are you, or anything. They were just like, no, get out of here. So giants out of their reach, that gives us a reason why they never went after it in the time they had from the battles that it fought in to present day where it lies on Egghead. And if I'm remembering correctly, didn't Vegapunk say something about the world government not knowing it was there? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I need to reread Egghead again. So in closing, Skypiea is one of those spicy arcs that you can just go back to time after time and find more and more things. Also, I just want to say during my closing arguments, I know how ridiculous the Lily Gonfall comparison is, but think about it. If we do believe that these four god fruits that exist with the rain god, sun god, earth god, and the fourth one I can't remember at the moment, the editor Lucas will throw up on screen. If we believe that Lily is one of those four gods, like a lot of theorists have said, then the Gonfall parallel, in my opinion, is actually stronger. Anyway, I'm not going to go on another tangent about how Gonfall is a Lily parallel. We'll see it when we see it, and maybe I'm just an idiot who's babbling on the internet. But yes, Skypiea, just like Long Ring Long Land for me, is one of those arcs that I can go through and find new things to talk about with it every single time I do. I want to give a super special shout out to Last Arc Discord member Knack D. He helped me cook on this for preparation for this episode, so I really appreciate it, Knack. You're one in a million, and if anyone out there wants to join the Last Arc Discord, links in the description. Get in there. We talk One Piece all the time. But yeah, there's just, even with things like Mantra and what it could be when it comes to the field of observation hockey, or the presence of those gods I had mentioned, or Gonfall as a character, or Enel in their parallels, or the priest in their parallels. There's just so much to Skypiea, and I think that's what makes it a fantastic arc, and why it irks me so much when so many people are like, I skipped it on my read-through, or I skipped it on my watch-through. Don't do that. You're gonna have a bad time. But yes, I've been StrawHatLucas, captain of the Last Arc. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube things, but more importantly, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Right?